Materials supplied by Microsoft Corporation may be used for internal review, analysis, or research only. Any editing, reproduction, publication, rebroadcast, public showing, internet, or public display is forbidden and may violate copyright law.
My name is Tanya DePass. I started the hashtag #INeedDiverseGames on Twitter in October 2014, and I literally was mad about video games at like 6 in the morning. That's how all of this started. So a little bit about me. I've been a gamer for a long time, and I had that kind of awakening of there are not people who look like me in games, at least not people who actually make it to the end of the story, or are part of the story. They're not just background filler. And at the time I threw out the hashtag, there was the conversation about being unable to animate women kind of coming across my social media again, and seeing other places where I didn't get to exist. And gaming is not a cheap hobby, and if I'm gonna drop 60, 70 bucks on a title, plus the amount on a console, I would like to exist in these digital landscapes. Okay, so I'm not gonna read slides at you. I hate that when people do that to me in talks. I'm just gonna read this, and then the rest of it, if you have questions, things are bolded for talking points. So I want to talk about why it's more than a buzzword, because a lot of people just dismiss diversity when you bring it up in any context, especially in technology, that, oh, you're just doing it for money, it's a buzzword. People like you don't care about technology and representation, which is a lie. So in this talk, I'm defining it as a goal whereby games will reflect the world around us, where games have varied characters and who are fully realized, not simply flat stereotypes and tropes. They can exist without controversy, hatred for the game, players, or its makers for choosing to portray a non-homogeneous world to play in. Feel free to tweet, either my personal Twitter, which is up there, or the #INeedDiverseGames Twitter. And I have cards later. So there was actually a census done about characters in the games, not the people playing them, and unsurprisingly, it was majority found to be white characters. So this is one of the things I came across in planning, not just this talk, but other places I've used this slide, where, if you don't get to see yourself, it affects you. I have no shame in telling my age. I'm gonna be 43 in April. I don't get to see myself a lot, from playing Street Fighter in the arcade up till now. So, this is something that really touched me because I get to exist, or at least I should. And I am going to tie this back to harassment. I'm not just randomly going on about this. So I looked at this slide, and I honestly couldn't tell many of the characters apart, and that kind of bothered me a lot. It's true. I can kind of tell who Nathan Drake is only because of all the buzz about the next game. But these are characters that are starring in games. There's not a lot of women who look like me. I know there's not women who look exactly like me starring in games. So the other slides, are kind of just filler. But one reason I want to talk about diversity so much and do talk about it and thus get harassed is because, how many people ever played The Witcher 3? Okay, so just you? Okay, well, besides you and me. So I love, and I say this with a caveat, I love the game. It's very well written. I enjoyed it. It made me laugh and cry. But the minute I did any kind of critique about it or just said it's a very white game, I immediately get flooded with, but Polish mythology and Slavic history, but there are dwarves with a Scottish accent in this game. So yeah, seriously, there are dwarves that speak with a Scottish accent in this game. So the succubus is like the only brown person you see in this game, and notice she is not human. And I don't remember if you get to kill her or not, but again, the brown chick doesn't get to live very long. I'll provide the slides if people want links to this, but I just threw links into articles talking about The Witcher 3 and specifically leaving us out of the conversation, leaving us out of video games. Sydney Fussell is actually a local writer and has done a lot of great articles as well. And then, I had to put myself in there because historical accuracy is one of the things that will make me see red when people try to give that as an excuse for why brown people don't get to exist in video games. Who's played Rust? Wow, I have no gamer folks. Okay. Okay. Well, I tried it. It wasn't my jam, but I wanted to at least see what all the buzz was about. And for those that don't know, Rust totally randomizes your character. And this is your race, your genital size, and now your gender. Like, it's based off your Steam profile. And people flipped out. They just totally lost it. And you would think that a game where you have the option to turn it off, or you have the option to, immerse yourself in another reality would not be such a big deal. But people like returned the game. This was one of the first games that had been released when Steam started the whole refund process. And the quote that I have up there is that I'm a white guy and I don't want to take the chance of playing a black character. That's lovely, but that is an incredibly privileged thing to say because I don't get to take this off. This is me all day, every day till I die. Okay. I will go quickly, and this is just something I had up there as an example. So, these are just points I often bring up on how to better diversify gaming. Stop using the excuse of, historical accuracy, because griffins and things like that don't get to exist in Poland, along with this is inaccurate. Diversify your teams, diversify your content, because without that diversification, we're going to just keep seeing 99% of the games coming out with a white male lead, and nothing will ever change. So quickly, how does this tie into harassment? I get to block over 100,000 people, or I should say accounts, because I don't think they're all actual people, on Twitter, simply because I asked for more diversity. I can't use Twitter anymore without blocking tools, and I have 3 block bots running at all times on both my personal account and on the I Need Diverse Games account. And this is now a matter of course. I can't go back to not having it. I've written articles. I can't read those articles, and I can read the articles, just not the comments, because as Anil will tell us later, talking about don't read the comments, I Twitch stream. I don't get on camera because I legit fear being swatted. And again, this is just asking for more people like me in a game. And then I worry now about boosting someone else, because you never know if I boost someone's project, will that bring unwanted harassment to their door? And then finally, what can we change? And these are just thoughts that I had about how to make specifically Twitter better, because you can block someone, they can still at you later, they can still reply to chains with you. I would really love it if it was like Facebook, where if I block you, I no longer exist. You can't find me, you can't tweet me, you can't reply to me. And then my take on how we get it to happen is understand that online are the same. Because the internet is real. A lot of the friends I've made, a lot of the interactions I've had are because of the internet. And then lastly, shift our culture to realize there is a person that is going to see those hurtful words, they're going to see what you said, and they're going to have an emotional reaction. Because no one should have to fear just looking at a social, because in the end of the day, Twitter is a tool that we all use, and none of us should have to fear going on to it. So that was my very quick explanation about how diversity and me being harassed tie together. One quick question, that I'm doing a breakout afterward about emotional self-care. Yes? No? Come on, y'all. Something.
Keep going.